Hey YouTube, this is Logan with Hideaway Homestead, and I'm coming to you today with these little simple wicking beds for rooting willow. I've got just a couple of these totes that you can get from either Home Depot or Lowe's, and you know, they're maybe not my first choice that I would use because depending on the container they can be expensive, but I just had these laying around, so wanted to make use of them, and I just put my pots with my rabbit poop that I use for potting soil in them, and I'm gonna plant some of these willow cuttings that I took off of one of my trees. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these cuttings and I'm gonna cut them to where they're just shy of the pot, so that way their roots won't go, or the stem itself won't go all the way to the bottom. But I'm gonna see if I can't do some of this stuff one-handed. And let's see here, the pot itself is about 4 inches, so I'm gonna go with 3-inch cuttings. And let me get my cutters here. And let's see here, we got about 3 inches is yay-ish, so I'll do that right there. Take me a cutting. I'm gonna use this as my little measuring stick since I'm doing this one-handed. There's 2 and 3. That's got me 4 cuttings right there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take them, I'll put them in this pot, and I'm gonna bury them almost all the way to the bottom. Because on these cuttings, you can see some of them's already got buds that have formed on them, but all these little, that bud right there, but then all these little dots are dormant buds, and there's many, many more that I don't think they'll even show up on camera. If I can get it to focus. But there are a ton of dormant buds on these stems. So what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting the majority of this stem to grow root, and just the very top grow a few shoots. So after I get them planted like that, I'll put them back in here in the wicking bed. Let's plant my other ones here. There's that one. Leave it just barely sticking out enough to where it can send up a shoot. And see, now I'm planting them the way that they were growing, right? So we've got, there's our bud sticking up right back here. So you want to make sure that you plant it where everything's oriented up. Right here, you got your bud, plant it up. All right, and so once we get these planted in here, what I do, I take this water, I pour it into the bottom of the container, and the pots, and the medium that's in those pots will wick that moisture up in there. I'm gonna put some more in there, try to get it close to where it's just right at the little below the soil level, and that should help my cuttings root. Now if you're taking cuttings during the growing season, I've said this before, but you need a mist system, and you'll take shoots that have some green on them. But with these willows, if you can do these wicking beds, you can root these cuttings that are growing during the summertime. And with willow, it's good to get 1 year growth, but I mean really and truly you can do just about any year's growth. I've taken some that probably had, I don't know, let's see how many rings that one's got. This one here is just a couple of years old, but some of them that were probably 4, 5, 6 years old and rooted them, they're pretty hefty little plants if you get some of these real thick cuttings. Like this one here is about the size of my thumb. So you're gonna have a lot of energy in this to be able to send out those roots and make a nice plant for you. So this is just a simple little way. You could do this with kiddie pools and get you a bunch of pots and do a whole bunch of these cuttings. But this is a way to, during the growing season, as you're cutting for your rabbits and giving them fodder, if you want to make more trees, which me, I always need to make more trees because I want to keep making more rabbits. And I eventually want to get to where I don't have to buy any feed. Still probably will, but I don't want to have to. And this is a great way for those bigger cuttings to take off the bottom of the stem and start you a whole nother tree and have that ready for next year, already in the ground, coming out in the spring, to where it can have a real good growing season and you can pollard it the next year. If you have any questions about this, just leave them down in the comments. Leave a like if this video was helpful, and subscribe to the channel to see more things like this. Thanks for watching.